Welcome back for Unit 1 of our Telecare online training for new volunteers. We're going to go right ahead and jump right into the first unit. So I'm going to share my screen and we can get started. Excellent. So once again, as referenced in the introduction video, you are free to follow along on a compatible device, such as an iPad, tablet, or cell phone if you're following along on the app. Otherwise, you can just sit back and walk through the program with me this way as I share my screen, and we'll just walk through it together. Okay, so I'm gonna minimize the sidebar so that we're in full screen mode. And this is what you should see if you're following along. So from the Telecare team, we just want to say thank you for becoming a part of our family and taking steps towards making a difference in your community. A quote from Margaret Mead, anthropologist, says, "Never doubt that a small group of committed people can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has." Once again, you are a valued member of our team. We know that Telecare volunteers at Telecare's Distress Line of Greater Simcoe are caring, supportive, understanding, compassionate, and dedicated to making a difference. So the session that you are about to begin has been developed over many years utilizing volunteer feedback and suggestions, research, consultation with community professionals, and input from other distress centers. This course is designed for you to complete the theoretical training at your own pace and allows more hands-on training in our call center. You have been partnered with a volunteer mentor. If you have not received an email or a connection with a volunteer trainer or mentor or been scheduled for shadow shifts, that's something that you can reach out to the volunteer coordinator or the Telecare main email account to ask for more clarification on this. If at any time you have questions, difficulties, suggestions, or feedback regarding the materials provided, please contact your mentor or volunteer coordinator. You are in no way expected to memorize the entire manual in order to be a successful volunteer. Much of the information is for background purposes only. This is designed to be dynamic, hands-on, interactive training, and your feedback is what helps keep it interesting. Role-play scenarios are provided at the ends of many chapters. Feel free to customize these suggestions as you feel comfortable. Once you and the coordinator or your mentor feel that you have successfully worked through the manual, we will work together to schedule time in our call center with an experienced volunteer. During this time, you will be able to listen in on real calls as well as work on some role-playing scenarios. You will learn office procedures, emergency procedures, and get to know some of our volunteers and callers. Once you've completed all necessary training and you feel you are comfortable, it will be time to tackle the phones. You'll be provided with support and supervision until you feel that you are ready to become a solo Telecare volunteer. There will be mandatory group sessions provided throughout the year for all new volunteers at any stage of their self-directed training. At these sessions, you will have access to community professionals, guest speakers, in a variety of areas such as mental health and addictions, aging and dementia, as well as domestic abuse. If there's an area that you feel that you're particularly interested in learning more about, let your mentor or coordinator know, and we will work to bring in a professional from that area. These volunteer events will be your time to ask questions, gain important knowledge, and learn firsthand about community resources. Welcome to Telecare. Just a little bit of logistics about the Ed app if you choose to follow along either on a phone, tablet, or even if you have your own login and choose to review on a desktop version. Each unit is followed by self-evaluations. Some activities may be completed using the in-app speech box tool. Your comments will be visible to other learners, yet will be anonymous. You may choose to keep track of your responses in a notebook instead. And it's up to you as the volunteer uh, to keep track of your own responses and share with your mentor for feedback or questions if you have any or would like to discuss further. So after that brief introduction, as we hop into Unit 1, some learning objectives are to have a basic understanding of the history and affiliations of Telecare and Lifeline, an understanding of our organizational structure, our funding structure, and the purpose and mission of Telecare, as well as who may represent some of our callers who call into Telecare. So our mission statement is that Telecare Distress Line provides a 24-hour anonymous and confidential telephone listening service staffed by well-trained volunteers. Requirements for becoming a Telecare volunteer. Telecare volunteers who work on the distress line are supportive folks who will be supporting folks who are at their most vulnerable due to varying life circumstances. The most basic skill required is the ability to listen with compassion. However, it is important to be sure that this is the correct opportunity for you. To this end, there are several basic requirements, such as personal emotional maturity, commitment to maintain confidentiality, commitment to maintain anonymity of Telecare volunteers, commitment to attend group training when available, a commitment to attend ongoing training also is available, successful completion of the self-directed training program, which you're doing today, police check, including vulnerable sector screening, and we do ask for an annual donation suggestion of $20 a year just to help with our operation costs. This, of course, is not a mandatory requirement. So some of the history and affiliations of Telecare and Lifeline. Telecare Distress Line of Greater Simcoe is a not-for-profit charitable organization governed by a volunteer board of directors. We have one part-time paid staff member. We are accredited by Telecare Distress Centers of Canada Incorporated and affiliated with Lifeline International, as well as the International Federation of Telephone Emergency Services. Telecare is governed by a code of ethics set down by international and national standards. Our purpose is to provide the community with access to well-trained volunteers 24 hours a day who will listen in an empathetic and caring manner, honoring the principles of confidentiality. We believe that every person has a right to be heard without judgment, and that by truly listening, we can help alleviate distress and loneliness. Together, we represent 1,200 centers, 100,000 volunteers, taking millions of calls, offering hope, friendship, compassion, and understanding to people worldwide. Brief history. The original model for Telecare Lifeline celebrated its 50th anniversary in March 2013. It was just before 5 p.m. on March 16, 1963, when the first call was answered in Sydney, Australia. Lifeline began as the vision of Reverend Alan Walker, who was then a minister at Wesley Methodist Missionary in Sydney, Australia. His vision was a crisis service to support people in distress and prevent suicide. Reverend Walker was feeling overwhelmed at the number of calls he was receiving from his parishioners. He did offer face-to-face counseling, but so many seemed more comfortable speaking on the phone. He envisioned a teleministry manned by trained volunteers to help support the community. The catalyst for launching the service was a heartbreaking phone call that Reverend Walker received close to midnight Saturday while working on the next day's sermon. The man was in crisis, determined to end his life, but needing to reach out one last time to explain his actions. The man was alone, broke, and in despair. Reverend Walker spoke with the man, who would only say his name was Roy, for over an hour that evening, begged him to please consider attending the next day's service. The topic was ironically called Life's Greatest Failures. That Sunday, Reverend Walker preached with an added sense of drama and urgency, wondering if Roy was there in the sea of faces. He even referred to him, asking, "If you are Roy, please listen." Back home that evening, the phone rang, and sure enough, it was Roy. He had been at church and he had felt that he had been helped in his thinking. He thought he would be okay now. He wouldn't reveal any more information, but did agree to meet Reverend Walker on Tuesday. Unfortunately, Roy never made it to that meeting. Instead, the Reverend was surprised by a visit from the police. A man had been found, a suicide. He had left a note for Reverend Walker. The note said, "I am afraid my faith has failed me. Please pray for me. I am terribly afraid. The pressure of the last few weeks has been too much for me. A job and 150 pounds would have saved me, but I don't believe that I'm worth it. I am a failure. I am leaving the world unwanted, unloved, and without hope." So this story is an excerpt from the Lifeline story by Reverend Alan Walker, reprinted in the 50th anniversary Lifeline newsletter. I believe that we do have a copy still in the call center. If Roy had support from caring volunteers, someone to speak with anytime he needed to, before he talked himself into the depth of despair, Reverend Allen wondered if Roy's story could have had a different ending. So we are here to make that different ending possible. Telecare came to Canada first to Sudbury in 1965, just 2 years after the first service in Australia began. And in January of 1979, Telecare Aurelia received its first call for support. Telecare has its roots, both historically and theologically, within the Christian community. However, we are not structurally related to any particular denomination or faith group, but are open and accepting of all. One of the founding members of Telecare Aurelia remains an associate volunteer, and one volunteer from the very first training class still serves regularly on the phones. For the past 10 years, calls from all over Simcoe County have been routed through our Aurelia call center, and to reflect that service, we are now called Telecare Distress Line of Greater Simcoe. Our service to others. To serve others whenever we are called, listening and responding in a caring manner. Telecare volunteers respond to the expressed needs of callers through active listening and by helping those who call find independence, alternatives, and strategies, as well as wholeness as they are ready. We demonstrate through active listening that we value individual uniqueness. We believe that each person has the right to make decisions affecting the quality of his or her life. Volunteers are encouraged to affirm their own beliefs and values, as well as lifestyles, but are expected to refrain from imposing these on others. We do not expect our volunteers to have all the answers. We would like to be able to help our callers find their own answers instead. It is of the utmost importance that our callers find their own strategies, plans, and solutions in order to empower themselves to lead productive and happy lives. We will, however, need to have an understanding of some of the issues that our callers are living with, as well as some of the resources available in order that we can provide suggestions and referrals when our callers are ready for them. When our friends choose to tell us of their struggles, we often jump in with helpful advice and solutions, and generally our advice is welcome. Many of our callers have numerous people in their lives, family, friends, doctors, therapists, and so on, telling them what to do. From us, all they need is affirmation of feelings and gentle guidance to help explore their feelings and seek solutions. A little bit about us. Our call center is currently located in Aurelia, convenient to bus lines. We have access to free parking. Our office is in a safe and secure location. There is security available if you are uncomfortable walking to your vehicle at night. We do keep the location of our call center secure and private. The office is bright and comfortable, equipped with a computer for use in making appropriate referrals, as well as for private use during times between calls. You can also bring your own devices during your shift, and we have Wi-Fi available. There is a television, microwave, and mini fridge for your comfort. Bring along snacks. We currently have one volunteer in the office at a time answering two lines. Our volunteers work in 4-hour shifts. Our shifts run from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m., 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., 3 p.m. to 7 p.m., 7 p.m. to 11 p.m., and we have one overnight shift from 11 p.m. until 7 a.m. We ask our volunteers to work one shift per week. However, we are aware of our volunteers' busy lives, and we welcome all sorts of arrangements from all lifestyles of volunteers. We also act as an answering service for Alcoholics Anonymous, providing callers with meeting times and making connections with sponsors when relevant. The Alzheimer's Society also provides our phone number on their after hours answering machine for people who may need someone to speak with right away. We are always looking for new ways to support and partner with other community agencies. We also provide we have also provided a program of reassurance calls in the past. We still have a resource available to encourage seniors and other shut-ins to register with appropriate reassurance call programs in the community. This resource is available in the call center, and if you are unable to find it or have more questions, feel free to reach out to a member of our team. There are many volunteer opportunities besides the call center. This includes board and committee work, fundraising, marketing, public awareness, policy and grant writing, being a member of our training team, assisting with social media, etc. We provide several ongoing training sessions as well as social events throughout the year in order to connect with fellow volunteers, share our experiences, celebrate, and connect. We do not receive any regular government funding at this time and rely on business and personal donations, grant opportunities, and foundations, and have offered tag days in the past to raise funds. Our budget has been stable at $30,000 per year for expenses such as insurance and accreditation, phone bills, training and recruitment, office expenses, etc. We do ask our volunteers for a voluntary annual donation to help offset costs such as insurance and telephone bills. The suggested amount is $20 a year at your own discretion. The only thing our volunteers share in common is their compassion and willingness to give to others with little expectation of loud applause or recognition. We represent all ages, identities, and come from all walks of life. We all share a desire to make a difference in our community. So if you are following along on the app or another desktop version, you will be able to play along with our quizzes and evaluations at the end of most of the modules. So we'll just do this together today. Telecare Distress Line provides a telephone listening service that is staffed by well-trained volunteers and is, select all that apply, confidential, anonymous, available 24/7. So we're going to go ahead and select all three. That is correct. Thank you. This concludes Unit 1 as an introduction to the Telecare organization. Thank you for following along with me today, and stay tuned for Unit 2.